Tune in to hear Elder Steve-GWC. He is transparent, authentic, and intentional, and he believes everyone should hear the gospel of Jesus Christ, including you.
Pastor Stephen and Sandy Gibson are some phenomenal people, and they truly, truly love the Lord. Trust and believe they have a word for each and every one of us. They have a word for the young people. They have a word for the single people. They have a word for married people. You name it, they have it.
I want you to know about GWC Ministry. GWC Ministry is a ministry that believes in worshiping God. If you don't mind praising God, if you like to give God glory, if you like to hear his word, GWC Ministries broadcast is the place to be. You are tuning in live to GWC Ministries Empowerment Night, and we are in the midst of our Empower Hour. Can we get excited for Empower Hour?
Hello, this is celebrating this season with GWC Ministries and Pastor Steve-GWC of Illinois. Jesus loves you. Nigeria loves you, Africa celebrates you, and heaven celebrates you. I'm glad to share this season with you. This is from your sister, Pastor I.T. Dennis, giving you a shout out from Nigeria. God bless you.
I give you praise. Nothing can take your place. Lord, I praise you for all that you've done. Lord, I praise you. Lord, I praise you for every victory. Oh, Lord, I praise you. Without you, I can't go on. Lord, I praise you. Lord, I praise you. Lord, I praise you.
Amen. God bless you and good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of E-Night. Hashtag E-Night is my night. Empowerment Night Thursday, where you get a shot in the arm to empower you to go forth and perform great works. We are here tonight celebrating our eHealth night. Listen, you all, we are going to have a good time tonight in eHealth night. This is our third segment since we started this just a couple of months ago. And like an airplane that's on the runway, it just keeps going faster and faster and going higher and higher. So listen, tonight is not going to be no exception. We're going to take it up to the next level because we are talking about what I consider one of those taboo topics. And our desire for having this platform is so we can begin to start having the discussion on those health topics in our, particularly in our Black community, as well as other communities, but more prevalent in the African-American community, where we tend to shy away from health topics and particularly things like our topic tonight. But listen, we are here to expose and interrupt the pattern, and we are here to talk about it and get something done about it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in our guest panelist for tonight. I'm excited to have her on today. Let me get her information up on the screen for you all. Listen, this is Sister Courtney Holden. She's got so many degree names behind her. I don't even know where to start, but she is with us today, and this is Sister Courtney Holden. She is going to be our guest mental health therapist today, and she is coming from us from the Center for Self-Actualization here in Illinois. You all are saying, Pastor Steve, you going from state to state. You got to have somebody from our home state. So listen, we are bringing you somebody from our home state of Illinois, and Courtney is going to be here to answer your questions, and we're going to talk about this taboo topic called mental health. So everybody, why don't we just give a rousing applause for Sister Courtney, and I'm going to put up and see who's with us tonight, Courtney. Let's see who's joined in. I know you.
Hello, everybody.
We got, how you doing, Sister Erica? We got St. Louis on the line with us tonight. Amen. Good to see you. And I see here's a name that you look familiar. Amen.
Yes. We
One
got
of our
family here tonight. I love it.
That's right. Listen, this is
Hello,
my friend,
Mom.
my buddy, your mom and your daddy are such great supporters. Your mom is such a tremendous member supporter, and we are so happy. We got Sister Denisha. God bless you, Sister Denisha. We're praying for you. Her nephew, Courtney, her nephew was just recently found at the bottom of the lake, and they pulled him out, and he is recovering right now through the prayer and the power of God. So Sister Denisha Bell, she's one of our GWC family members. We are continually praying for you and your nephew. And she just sent me a text a moment ago saying that he was up and moving about today.
All right. That's a blessing.
Amen. We need to give God glory for that. Amen. I think you know this fine young man right here.
Oh, yes, I think I do. Hey, Kristen.
I like this young man. He spoke so well at our Boys to Men Father's Day, and we are so happy. And listen, we got all the way from Missouri, Texas. Dr. Cynthia Hickman is with us on tonight.
Hi, Dr. Hickman.
And then we're going to keep going back to St. Louis. One of our great members, Sister Deanna Burns, is with us. And I don't know when this young lady gonna change her name on social media. Because then when I call her age, she's gonna say, Pastor Steve, that's not my name. We got Jalen with us tonight. Good to see you, darling. All right. And let's see who else we got. Oh, we got a lot of folk here tonight. We got Kimberly Hicks. Let's see. They're praying for you, Sister Denisha. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we'll add these on as we go. But I want to get right into it because Courtney has such a great background and so passionate about the work that she's been doing. And we wanted to bring her in. And we always want to acknowledge and thank our sponsor all the way from Houston, Texas. And special thanks to the amazing Empower partner, the CEO of the Therapeutic Professionals of Houston, Texas, Mary Turner, who is responsible for bringing us all of our healthcare professionals, with the exception of today. I went and grabbed this for myself, y'all. But I talked it over with her. We did a quick vetting, and she was good with it and good to go. But we always want to thank her because she had her network of healthcare professionals across the country is what's makes it possible for us to have a e-night. All right. So right now, with that being said, Courtney, welcome to the broadcast. Tell us about yourself, Courtney.
Thank you so much, Pastor Steve. I'm so happy to be here. I'm thankful that you invited me to come and speak. This is just a very important topic. I think that we all need to be able to hear. And it's a topic that is dear to me professionally and personally. I do this kind of work every day. I get to see the good and the not so good, that people are going through. And I think it's really, really important that we start having these discussions about mental health and really how we can take better care of ourselves. We don't have to wait until we're in crisis to go and get help and go and get support. But going back to a little bit about me, right? I think I want to start by letting you guys know a little bit about why I chose to get into the mental health field. And it's really because, just like many of us, I've gone through my own struggles. I've had my own share of traumas and challenges. I've gone to therapy myself. And I really see the importance of it and how rewarding it can be when we take the time to really, work on ourselves and heal some of those wounds that we have. So I always say I can't save the world, but I can help people save themselves.
I like that. That's good. I like that.
It's really about turning my pain and in the struggles that I've gone through into purpose, right? How can I be a vessel? How can I give back to my community, especially the Black community, because we really, really need it. We do. We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So look, I'm just gonna jump right into it. You know, I gotta ask the question. I know everybody's gonna ask the same question too. Let me just put it up here on the board so that everybody know. And I want you to tell me, I like the way it sounds. What is self-actualization?
Oh, I love that question. So, and that's a really good question too. So, self-actualization is really about us reaching the higher versions of ourselves, right? The best versions of ourselves that we can be. So, me working at the Center for Self-Actualization, that's what we're all about, really about helping people become the best versions of themselves through healing, through, holistically, actually, not just through therapy, but through physical wellness. And we provide yoga, right? We provide different workshops and things. So really about healing the whole person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Look, we already have questions starting already.
I love it.
I certainly want to always give honor to the First Lady of GWC Ministries, my wife, First Lady G, who she's just right out the gate with a question. So I listen, you all. I put up here, Sister Courtney is available all throughout the broadcast for you to ask your questions. So you don't have to wait to the end for a Q&A. You can just put your question in there and I'm going to display it. And she is going to answer whatever your questions are. And I'm confident that we can get some good answers from her. So I'm just going to put up the first one right here for you, Courtney. And this is coming from First Lady G.
Hi, First Lady. So she says, can smoking marijuana cause a mental break? Wow, that's a good question. Yeah. So I actually get this question often because I have some clients that, like to indulge, if you will. And I think it really depends on what mental state that we're in, right? Already. Because for a lot of people who may be, suffering from anxiety or maybe experiencing anxiety, some of us who might indulge or might smoke marijuana, it can actually increase the anxiety. And I think that can lead to us getting into a point where, we become more emotionally unstable. So I think it really just depends on kind of the foundation that we're starting with, right? If we're already in in kind of like a rocky place mentally, for some of us, it can actually escalate, the situation that we're already going through.
Okay. All right. First Lady G, did that answer your question? We always want to confirm that we answered the question. All right. And you all can continue. All right. And she wants to let you know that's good. All right. You know what? And I'm glad she asked that because Courtney, as you said, you get this a lot with things being legalized now and it's available. It kind of gives the notion that it's okay, it's not harmful, there's nothing that you have to worry about it. But we just kind of wonder, is that true?
Right. Yeah.
And
it can be in some ways.
Okay. All right. We got a follow-up question, and this is coming from your Auntie Kelly, who says, can marijuana help me with my pain, stress, and everything else? I need something. Look, she got a 911 request right there. What do you tell her?
That's a good question, but here's the thing. I would say my first instinct is to say consult with your doctor first, right? Make sure that that's something that will be beneficial for you. But no, marijuana can be helpful in some cases, actually. I mean, we know that patients who are terminally ill sometimes, utilize marijuana for pain management. So we know that it can have its benefits, but it can also have its disadvantages too. So we just have to be mindful about how we're utilizing it and what we're utilizing it for.
All right. Kelly, did that help you out there? Did that give you the life preserver you were looking for? Listen, y'all, Courtney's gonna keep it real with y'all, so y'all hope y'all ready for it. I told her before the broadcast, I said, GWC, we want the smoke. So she's gonna keep it 100 with y'all. So I got a question that I want to bring for you, because we hear these what you call it, interchanging terms. So what is the difference between mental wellness, mental health, mental illness, and a mental problem, or some people they're just out there cray.
So yeah, this is you guys got the good questions today. I'm liking this. So mental wellness and mental health, honestly, I feel like they can be used interchangeably. Really, our mental health and our mental wellness is pretty much exactly what it says. It's the state of our mental well-being. So it's really, how are we doing emotionally, psychologically, and socially, right? This is the foundation of how we think, how we feel, how we act, how we interact with other people. So that's really like when we talk about our mental wellness and our mental health, that's what it's referring to. As far as what is mental illness? Mental illness is more of to do with people who have more chronic disorders or chronic illnesses like schizophrenia, people who have bipolar disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. So those are considered more severe illnesses. They've actually been diagnosed with an illness by a professional. Now, someone who may be experiencing a mental problem, that's more situational, right? Whereas most of us, or the average person, at some point in time is going to experience a mental challenge. That doesn't mean that they're mentally ill, right? It just means that they're going through, maybe a stressful moment that's impacting their mental health.
First Lady kind of has a follow-up question to that. She says, Is mental illness something already inside of a person, or something that comes out over time?
So, well, with that one, it's a bit more complex. So with mental illness, people can be predisposed for it, which basically means, it's more genetic. If a person has a history of mental illness that runs in their family, then there's a higher likelihood or a higher chance that they can develop that as well, right? But for some people, mental illnesses can be developed over time, depending on, the environment, depending on stressors that they go through, depending on their brain chemistry. So it's a lot of different factors involved. But for some people, they're more predisposed for it, especially if they have a history of it in their family.
They often say that if you stand three people next to each other, every third person is dealing with some type of mental illness or some type of mental health issue. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I would say more often than not, many of us are experiencing some level or form of a mental challenge, right? And like I said before, everybody doesn't experience mental illness, but mostly everyone experiences a mental challenge. And it happens more often than we realize. Yeah.
Okay. So Deanna from St. Louis, she's saying that mental illness is hereditary, which is kind of what you were saying. So then maybe a follow-up to that is when do you know? I mean, what are some of the signs that, in your experience of working with your cases and your patients in therapy, what are some of the signs that people can start looking at to say, hey, maybe this is something we need to look into? And then when do you start the process of trying to go back and find out where it originated from?
Yeah. So some of the signs that we can look for or pay attention to is typically people who may be, who experience a drastic change in their mood, right? Whether that is, they're experiencing significant levels of sadness, or you see them and they're typically really down, right? Or they show a lack of interest in activities that they normally, would enjoy. People who tend to withdraw or like isolate themselves more. Maybe for some people also they have, shifts in their mood, very extreme shifts in their mood too. So I would say really just paying attention to unusual changes that you see with a person, for sure.
And how early can some of that start being detected?
As early as childhood, honestly, for some mental health challenges or mental health disorders, for sure. But I would say, oh, go ahead.
No, so if you have a child, or parents are experiencing children who they may not be an extrovert, but they categorize as an introvert, and maybe they just brush that off, that maybe they shy or they just like to be by themselves. Are those things that we should start looking at?
I would say pay attention to it, but with children, it's a bit more complex because they're still developing, right? And so every child doesn't develop at the same rate. So, if one child is more reserved than another, that doesn't necessarily have to mean that, they may develop a mental health disorder. But I would definitely say we should constantly be, observant of our children and observant of, how they're developing and how they're behaving, for sure.
All right. So Joyce Berry, thank you for being here today, Joyce. We're so happy to have you. She has a question. She said, well, what is the difference between being sad and being depressed? And that is, wow, that is such a good one right there, Joyce, because that seems to be something that a lot of people, depression seems to be really huge right now. And how can you not brush it off, Courtney, as somebody just being sad?
Yeah. So the difference between being sad and being depressed. So being sad is a emotion, right? It's a feeling that we can experience pretty much at any point in time. Being depressed is actually a mood disorder, right? People who've actually been diagnosed with depression. The difference is depression is more persistent, right? It's something that we can experience on a more continuous basis. But with being sad, right, we can be sad one moment and then the next moment we're okay, right? But a person who is experiencing depression, it's way more of a persistent state of sadness, right? They have difficulty with functioning rather than someone, that is just having a sad moment, right? Or a day where they're feeling sad. So yeah, with depression, it's a bit more significant.
So you brought up the word, we got another coming from St. Louis. Let's get them in.
We have a lot of questions.
That's what we love. IGWC followers, they are inquisitive and they want the information. That's why we got you here.
I love it.
Erica says, so how do you help someone who doesn't want to admit that they need help? Oh, wow.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Well, my first thought or first response to that is, you can really only help people who are ready to receive that help, right? We can't force people to change or force people to make specific decisions about their mental health. But I would definitely say it's important to be patient and be encouraging, and really not try to pressure people to go seek help. Because I think the more that we try to pressure them, the more that they might tend to resist. It really has to be their choice. But we can continue to be supportive and provide resources and encourage them as much as we can. But it really has to be on them to make that decision for themselves.
All right. Well, that makes sense. A lot of people are chiming in saying that was a very good question.
Absolutely.
And I guess that's with anything, even in the church world. I mean, you and I were talking about this prior to coming on. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink, as they say. All right. We've got another question here. Karen wants to know, how do I begin my path headed to my best self? Oh, wow. That's pretty good. All right.
I definitely like that. So that's a good question, Mom. I would say, honestly, you really got to think about, identify first, what are your goals and how would you define your best self, right? Because what's best for me may not be best for you. So you really got to start with defining, what does it look like for you to reach this place where you're going to be feeling your best, right? Or functioning at your best. And then once you identify that, you can go from there and kind of make small goals.
All right. Mom, did that answer your question? All right, she'll let us know. Oh my goodness, these questions are coming in faster than I can put them up, Courtney. And listen, you all, Courtney has already told us that she is happy to answer as many questions as you all have. So if we go past our 8 o'clock time, we are perfectly okay with that, because this is what this is all about, getting the information. And we've got the expert with us, and I'm glad that you all are seeing her value. But yes, don't worry about if you won't get your question in. We're going to stick around to make sure each question gets answered. Asia, or Jalen, she said a lot of people experience depression and don't even realize it too.
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. I would love to talk about that. That's something that I see a lot, in the work that I do, and just in general, right? Just living life. I think a lot of us are, existing, and we don't even really recognize, like, we might be struggling with anxiety. We might be struggling with depression. I think a lot of the times when we think of, mental health and mental health challenges, we think of the more extreme end of it, right? In order for me to be depressed, I have to be kind of chained to my bed, right? It's difficult for me to get out of bed. I'm crying all the time, or maybe I'm even suicidal, right? But that's the more extreme end of depression, right? What is more common is those of us who are actually able to function, but we're also depressed, right? You can still go to work, you're still parenting, you're still doing all the things that you need to do every day, but mentally and emotionally, you're feeling down, right? Maybe you don't have as much motivation. Maybe you feel like you're tired all the time, right? Maybe your appetite, isn't necessarily stable. You're not eating enough, or you just don't feel like eating, right? So it's those smaller scale things that we really don't think about when that can actually indicate that we're in a depressed state and we don't even know it.
And what should someone do? Or how do they get out of that? Is that a funk?
When it comes to, being in a depressed state, I won't necessarily say that it's a funk. I think it really depends on, a lot of the times the causes too, right? We got to look at what has led to the depressed state. For some people, it could be a major life change, right? For some people, it can be everyday stressors that they're dealing with, and they're really not sure how to juggle it and manage it all. For some people, it could be grief and loss, right? Like, we lose a loved one, and we're struggling after that, right? And we're just feeling down. It's a lot of different things that can cause or lead to being in a depressed state. So I think we really got to identify, what has triggered it or what has caused it. And then I think seek help, right? After we understand, that we're not feeling our best, really be able to reach out really be able to reach out and seek help, whether that's therapy, whether that is through, community and people that we trust, but understanding that we don't have to go through it alone.
Wow, that is a great answer. And listen, you all, that's a great way to plug her. Listen, you have the therapist right here. And at the end of the broadcast, we're going to put up her information and you can contact her and have further discussions and get more individual help. That's why she is here, so that if you need this type of support, then you will be able to have that at your fingertips. Dr. Cynthia Hickman, a wonderful woman who had given us a wonderful eHealth night last month, talking about care for the caregivers. She wants to talk about how to address mental health tips for a caregiver. I think, Courtney, you kind of mentioned earlier about, how traumatizing things can be for the family who's dealing with somebody who may be having mental health issues. So Dr. Hickman wants to know, what are some tips for a caregiver who's caring for somebody in that state?
Yes. Care for yourself first. Self-care, self-care, self-care. I think we've heard this saying a lot, like when you're on the plane and the plane's going down, you put on your oxygen mask first before you try to help somebody else. So you really got to think about it in terms of, if I'm going to care for somebody else, I'm going to want to be in the best state possible that I can be, right? So that I can be my best self for them. So really making sure that we're taking care of ourselves, getting even the basics. Sometimes we got to go back to the basics, making sure we're getting enough sleep, making sure we're eating well, making sure we're moving our body, and also, don't shy away from asking for help. It's okay to ask for help and seek support, because caregiving can really, really, really take a toll on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And we've got more. I'm going to thank you guys are doing fantastic tonight with your questions. And we're getting to all of them. I apologize if I may not get it in the order that you put it up here, but I'm grabbing them as fast as I can see them come up on the screen. So we're going to jump right here. And we're so happy for brother Jay DeAndre for being with us on today. Looks like he's tuning in from YouTube. Glad to have you.
Hello.
All right. He wants to know, why do you think mental health is so neglected in society today, especially in the African American community? Jay DeAndre, listen, you and I on the same wavelength. That is actually one of the questions we have for her. So, Courtney, let's have at that one.
Yeah, I think the foundation of that is a lot of the stigma surrounding mental health. And when I say stigma, I mean like the negative messages that we get about it, a lot of the misconceptions, a lot of the myths, right? I would even ask some of the viewers to think about, what are some of the things that you've been told about mental health, or what are some of the things that you have heard about mental health, right? Some of the ones that I think are common is that people with mental health challenges, or people who are mentally ill, are crazy, right? Or they're unstable, or they're dangerous, or, people who have mental health challenges, you want to stay away from them. So it's kind of, I look at it as being, we kind of really feed into those stereotypes. We tend to feed into those stigmas. And I think a lot of the times, things that we don't understand, we tend to avoid them, or we tend to fear them, or, we tend to not even want to go near it. So I think a lot of it is about not having enough education around, enough education, enough information around mental health.
All right. And listen, Courtney asked a question, and I'd really like you all to go ahead and do that. Why don't you put in the chat some of those things that you have heard? What are some of the perceptions, like she mentioned, that you have heard? Maybe there was some adjectives. I know coming up, Courtney, there was a lot of words that would be classified as politically incorrect today and just out of pocket. Somebody was crazy. They loony. They taking me to the loony bin. They cuckoo. The young people say cray cray. It's a lot of words. It's a lot of words that they used to say that made you think that, like you said, nobody wanted to have anything to do with that. So you all put inside the comments, what are some of the words, adjectives, perceptions you had, and maybe you've had some unconscious biasness yourself. I think we all can agree that we experience a little unconscious bias ourselves. But so why don't you put that in there while we answer some more questions? So we're going to jump right into First Lady. She wants to know, is being a loner or wanting to be by yourself a sign of something? Sorry for all the questions, but this topic is so important. No, that's what we hear, First Lady. Listen, and we like to kind of call it the hermit spirit. You just want to be by yourself all the time. And so that's a good one. What do you think? Is that anything to be concerned about?
Well, first, let me say no need to apologize for asking the questions. We want the questions. Keep the questions coming.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so really a lot of us, people who tend to be viewed as like loners or wanting to be by themselves, we call them introverts, right? We refer to them as introverts. And there's nothing wrong with being an introvert. I think, though, it is important for us to have connection. It's about balance. We do need connection as human beings. So I think if it gets to the point where it's more extreme and we're isolating and we're withdrawing and we're really not having any interaction or very, very little interaction with people, I think it's important to pay attention to that. But I don't think it's anything wrong with, us spending time alone, especially if that's what we enjoy.
Okay. All right. So Leslie Hernandez, nice to have you with us tonight, Leslie. I'm seeing a lot of names that I've never seen before, so I'm very excited. So we're very excited about that. She has one that definitely we want to touch on, particularly as it relates to the millennials, the Gen Zs, the young people. Leslie wants to know, what are some good ways to cope with anxiety? And Courtney, before you answer that, I hope she's on. There's a young lady in our ministry for Virginia that I talk with her a lot about this. And this was one of the main things that she wanted to get some information on. So I don't know if she's on yet. I haven't seen her yet, but she can see it later. But let's talk about that. What are good ways to cope with anxiety? What is anxiety?
Good question. So anxiety is, it's kind of twofold, right? So anxiety is a natural emotional response that we have to stressful situations. So that can look like, the fear or worry that we have before a test, right? Or the fear or the worry that shows up if we're gonna, give a speech in front of a big crowd. Like at some point, we all experience anxiety as an emotion, right? But it becomes more of a disorder when the anxiety is persistent, right? A lot of the times we can experience fear and worry, and there's really no like threat or danger that's causing it, right? Okay. So that's when we're getting into the territory for it being a disorder and something more significant.
Okay. All right. So we've got a question here. They're asking on behalf of someone. So Kelly says, this is from Jason. Jason wants to know, why do you think mental health is so, there we go. There's that keeps coming back. That question we need to address is so neglected in the African-American community. And again, this question is from Jason McDaniel. My daughter Tiffany is watching too. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you, everybody that's watching it. And can I add this to it, Courtney? So while we're talking about the African-American community, why isn't the church talking about this?
Very good question. Very good question. So I think that goes along with my shirt, Pastor Steve. I don't know if y'all can see my shirt.
Let them stand up a little bit more, Kelly, so they can get in the board frame.
My shirt, it says, it's okay to have Jesus and a therapist too.
I love that. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yes.
Yes, I wore this shirt especially for y'all.
Talk to the church people right now.
Yes. But I think the church doesn't really touch mental health as much because we're really kind of encouraged to rely on our faith, right? Rely on our prayers and our beliefs, right? And just really kind of stand on that. But the truth of the matter is, and honestly, this is in the Bible, right? I can't think of what verse it is, but faith without works is dead, right? I know
That's the Bible.
y'all
That's
heard
right.
that one before, right? So the thing about it is we can have faith, but we also have to take action as well. Like there's nothing wrong with praying, there's nothing wrong with leaning on God, but we also got to meet God halfway. Right. And it's important for us to take action to be able to take care of ourselves too. And I like to say God created therapists. So he obviously is in support of us
You.
believers, right? Seeking therapy and seeking the care that we need. Yeah.
You know, another scripture in the choir sing this so much a lot. We say the Bible says, and thou will keep you in perfect peace, all whose mind stayed on him. And I think we tend to take that to mean that if you're just thinking about Jesus 24 hours a day, you're gonna be in perfect peace. That's not necessarily what that's saying. What it does, it speaks to what you tend to do with your mental. What are you thinking about? What are you focusing on? And here is something that can help you. If you focus on him, that will absolutely help you. But that is not the only thing you have to focus on. Jesus, like you said, he created the therapists, he created the doctors, he created the physicians. As a matter of fact, some of his disciples were physicians. So he did not negate the fact that people had medical ability. So when people say, keep your mind in perfect peace, this is what we're talking about tonight. There's spiritual ways and there's natural ways. And Courtney is here to tell us some of the natural ways because people need peace in their mind. Courtney, I don't know about you, but if there's one lacking commodity in our society and in our world right now, is a sense of peace.
Talk about it, Pastor Steve. That's right.
So now, what about the Black community? What started making the Black community feel like something was wrong with going to a therapist?
Honestly, I think it's more historical too. I think it's historical. I think it's generational. One of the initial thoughts I'm having is how often in the Black community are we told to keep everything in the house, right? That's one of those, back in the day, old time sayings, but what happens in the house stays in the house, right? And I think a lot of us have really taken that to heart. I think it's become more generational to where we tend to suffer in silence a lot. We don't really talk about the things that we've gone through, the things that we've experienced. A lot of the mental health challenges that people experience today really can be traced back generations in their families. Right.
Okay.
So this is like a historical, this is generational trauma. Like there's a lot, a lot going on with it there. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Dr. Hickman says, I like that a loner. What she said, I like that a loner, but it is the result of being a 20-year caregiver. I'm better now, but I went through that as well. So she had her time where she was being a loner too. And sometimes that does concern you a little bit when they're not connecting with anybody.
Sure.
All right. So because we got some more coming in here, before we go any further, Courtney, I want you all to know she came up with, not Pastor Steve, Courtney came up with the topic for this month. And I just thought it was just so clever. Let me put it back up here so that you all can see it. It should be in the ticker at the bottom. It says, mental health is wealth. How to increase your mental wellness bank. Bank account. Everybody talking about getting them coins, making them boss moves, getting that grind on. But Courtney says, listen, are we gonna flip this thing? Tell us
Yes.
about why you came up with that topic, Courtney.
Yes. So I think a lot of the times, and just like you said, Pastor Steve, there's a lot of this hustle culture. We got to get to the bag. We got to make this money, right? There's so much talk about money and getting money and finances and building wealth, right? But when you really think about it, the reality is our true wealth lies in our mental health. It lies in our wellness. And why do I say that? Because at the end of the day, money comes and goes, right?
Yes.
Cars come and go, houses come and go, all those material things come and go. But what do we still have? Our health, right? We still have our wellness. So it's very important for us to maintain that and take care of ourselves, because I mean, that's what we need to survive, right? Like, this is the foundation of our functioning. Yeah.
Now, wait a minute, Courtney, let me get this straight. So you trying to tell me that people with money have mental problems too?
Absolutely. Yes.
What they got to be depressed about? What they got anxiety about?
No,
Look,
it's
they don't know I struggle.
Yes. Yes. I mean, how many times have we seen on the news that celebrities have died by suicide, right? We had Robin Williams, Twitch, the dancer from the Ellen show. It's just been so many people, right? That these are people with money. These are people with fame. These are people who can buy almost anything that they want. But, they've gotten to a point where they're struggling so much mentally that it seems like the only escape is to not be alive anymore. So that should tell us something.
Wow.
No matter how much money you have, no matter how much material things you have around you, you can still be unhappy, right? You could still be struggling with your peace and your mental stability. That's where the true wealth is.
Okay. I was so flabbergasted when I heard the news about Kate Spade, the sister of the actor Jason Spade. A lot of you all ladies might know Kate Spade from her bags and her accessories and her clothes. Billionaire committed suicide, and I just kept wondering, I'm like, what would make a billionaire just suddenly decide they don't want to live no more?
Yeah.
So are we saying that her natural bank account was full, but she had a negative status in her mental bank account?
That's a good segue, Pastor Steve.
Well,
let's talk about
that.
it. Let's talk about it. How do we increase our mental wellness bank account? But first, I kind of want to explain that analogy a bit more. So, like, when we think about having a bank account, right? What is a bank account? It's a container that holds our money, right? And what do we do with the bank account? We make deposits, we make withdrawals, and we put currency into our bank account. And that currency is what? Dollar bills, change, checks, right? And so when we think about that in terms of our mental wellness, our mental health is really like the container for our quality of life. It's the container for our functioning, right? What is our currency? What are we going to use to make our deposits and withdrawals? Our time, our energy, our attention, right? What are the things that we're spending our time on? What are the things that we're giving attention to? What are the things that we're using our energy for, right? That's our currency. So when it comes to making deposits into our mental wellness account, deposits are things that help improve our functioning and improve our quality of life, right? They're the things that help us to feel better, right? Whether that's exercise, whether that's spending time with loved ones, whether that's doing the things that we enjoy, like hobbies, right? Going to the movies, going to a party, right? Self-care, right? Taking care of ourselves, having a spiritual foundation, right?
All right, I like that.
Financial foundation, that's a deposit.
Yes.
What are the withdrawals? Things that take away from our functioning, right?
Okay.
So those things can be stress, right? And whether we know it or not, stress is a huge, huge, huge silent killer, right? A lot of us can uh, experience stress to the point where it's really putting our account in the negative.
Mm.
So stress can be a withdrawal. Loss can be a withdrawal, right? When we lose a loved one. And I really want to touch on the topic of loss really quick, because a lot of the times when we think about loss, we only think about loss in terms of death. But there are many different forms of loss. We can lose a home, right? We can lose our job. We can lose a relationship, right? So when I talk about loss, it's not just referring to if we lose a loved one, right? It's loss in all its forms, and those things can be a withdrawal. Also, providing emotional support or any type of support actually to our family and friends, those can be considered withdrawals. Why? Because they require time, energy, and attention.
What? You got family on this call. You better watch yourself.
I don't know if y'all hear me though. I don't know if y'all hear me. This is I'm gonna need y'all to pay attention.
Pay attention, family.
Yes. Yes. But these are the things that take from our mental wellness bank account. But here's the key. Here's the important thing. Every time that we make a withdrawal, it's important to make sure that we're making a deposit to replenish our account, right? It's even better if we spend more time making deposits to provide us with the cushion, right? When you think about, your monetary bank account, right? If you have a good balance in your monetary bank account and you make a couple withdrawals, you can still be good, right?
That's good.
But if your balance is low and you
Uh-oh.
go in there, you're trying to take money out, y'all know what's gonna happen, right? That bank gonna come giving you that fee, that overdraft fee. And
Yep.
overdraft fee is not good.
No, it's not good at all.
we don't want our account to go in the negative, right? So the more that we take care of ourselves, the more that we make deposits into our account, the better we're going to feel. And the more prepared we are to deal with stress. The more prepared we are to deal with when we have those additional withdrawals.
All right. Woo! Woo,
Y'all don't hear me though. I'm telling you, I'm coming to speak to y'all today. I hope y'all listening.
Look, I think all of us better go online and check our mental bank account balance right now.
Check your Wells Fargo, your Bank of America.
That is good. You know what? So let me ask another one. You guys keep the questions coming. We still got a few minutes. I love the participation. I love the enthusiasm. And look, First Lady said, listen, she wants you to know, Courtney. She said, we're listening.
All right, First Lady. I love it.
So I want to ask, make sure I haven't missed anybody. So I'm just going through here to make sure I didn't miss anything. Kimberly Hicks had mentioned, she said that people don't want you to know they have mental issues, but people shouldn't be ashamed. Get help. Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Erica's comment on a quote that Jay DeAndre submitted. Let's have a look at his quote and let's see what your thoughts are, Courtney. It said, if I can help anybody, here's a quote. Life and death is in the power of thy younger. What you say you will have, know that you are stronger than you think and speak positivity over your life. What do you think about that, Courtney? Can that help support mental wellness?
Let me read that again. Let me Let me get into that
Brother,
again.
brother went deep on it. He went
He went,
Socrates on us.
he went kind of deep. I gotta read that one again. Let's see. Life and death is in the power of thy younger. What you say, you will have. Know that you are stronger than you think and speak positivity over your life. Yes, I love that. I love that. Yeah. I think really what I'm getting from that is we have the power to speak positivity over ourselves. Like there is power in our words, there's power in the tongue, right? What we say, can very well be. So, really paying attention to how we speak to ourselves and how we speak about ourselves is important.
Kelly,
That's a good
Courtney, I think you're a little. We can hear you, but I think you're a little frozen right there.
Uh-oh. Oh
Yeah,
no.
we can still hear you clearly. Just keep on talking. You didn't
Oh,
disappear. You're still there.
that's not good. I
Uh,
think the enemy is trying to interfere with my message today.
well, we're gonna ban the enemy right now. He's not
Let
stopping
me
nothing.
see.
Well,
Okay, hold on.
what you could try this, Courtney, is just if you want to go back out and come right back in, use it. This happens a lot. So this is the what happens with live TV. So if you want
Okay.
to just go out and come back in, that usually fixes it.
Okay.
And I'll keep them engaged while you're doing that. So listen, everybody, we are having while Courtney works on that one technical issue, we're gonna keep it going. And I see all of the wonderful comments inside the chat. Keep the questions coming. We got a few more minutes, and like I said, we will stay here as long as it takes for you all to get your questions answered. And I do want to put one of Courtney's resources on the screen, so I don't want to forget to do this. So if you want to go ahead and take some of her information down, she's got a wonderful resource document for us. There she is. She's back. All right. All right. I was just letting them see your resources document before we forget to do that. So we'll kind of come back to that because I see that we've got a couple other things somebody want to say. This is good. Erica from St. Louis says, a myth I've heard, taking medication to treat mental health just makes the person sleep all day and will not interact with the world. So in your case studies, in your sessions, how have you found that medication is a pro or a con? I guess we can put it that way. Which would you say?
Yeah, medication can be very beneficial in treating mental health conditions. I mean, obviously, with almost any medication, there are side effects. So I have had some clients who take medication and it can interfere with their sleep. But the good thing about it is medication can be adjusted, right, at any point. And so, if a person is experiencing side effects, it's always best to consult with your doctor, and your doctor can help you find something that really works best for you. But medication can truly be beneficial. I think it depends on the person and the case because not everybody needs medication as well. Some people can do very well with therapy and stress management also.
So what are some common, if it's not breaking any HIPAA laws here, but what are some common medications or prescriptions you found out there that either work or people are typically prescribed?
Well, see, it's not necessarily that cut and dry. And
Okay.
I say that because, I can say this particular medication works well for depression or anxiety, but someone can take it and it doesn't do well, with their body chemistry or, it doesn't do well with their brain chemistry. So it really just depends on the person. What works for one person may not work for another.
Okay. All right. Look at that power. You don't see that. Read what they say out loud there, Courtney. Look at that power right there.
All right. I bind the enemy right now. Her message is so powerful. He wants to hinder the progress. Yes, Courtney, I love this health segment. You are excellent. Keep up the amazing work and God bless you. Wow. Thank you so much, First Lady. I appreciate that. That is wonderful.
DeAndre wanted to make I guess it was a spelling clarification. He wanted us to know he meant life and death is in the power of thy tongue.
I got you, DeAndre.
Yeah.
J. DeAndre. Yep. I understood that.
Yeah, we figured that's what you meant. But when you had that younger, and I was like, okay, let me let's go back here and see what he's talking about right there. I like it. Looks that younger sounded good to me.
That works too.
He's laughing. He's giving us a laugh on that one. All right. So while we got if you guys got any last questions, get them in. Because we'll be getting ready to close out. But if you got more, we want to answer them. Courtney is doing fantastic. You definitely are showing her that you are happy she's here. And that makes me happy because then that lets me know that this is truly what the Lord wanted us to do and that you do see that there is a need for this. Our ministry is about bringing help to the total person. And we cannot bring help to the total person if we're only dealing with the spiritual side of it. Amen. All right. So I got a question that I want to throw out there while they're getting theirs in before it's over with. Kids, they're getting ready to go back to school, going back to college, going back to universities, going back, getting their degrees. Maybe perhaps they'll go and get some of your degrees and become great like you and go into the profession you in. But even when our younger kids, we know we talk about anxiety and we talked about depression and suicidal thoughts. So Courtney, for those of our younger listeners, for parents who have dealing with children who experience anxiety, and I'll throw this out here. I did not know anxiety was a thing. I'm gonna just keep it real. I thought somebody was just being fearful all the time. And I was like, listen, God is not giving us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound man. Fears of the devil. You know, but then when I got COVID, and as bad as I had it, I started to experience the anxiety that people talk about. I started having anxiety attacks. Just the thought of I'm a people person. I love being around crowds. But Courtney, I got to tell you, when I started seeing crowds and people, I saw what this thing they talk about comes over you. Yeah. And it grips you, it paralyzes you. And I'm a preacher, and I'm just feeling this incredible sense of fear that I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to get away. So I understand now that that is a real thing. So for our young people who are going back to school next month, what are some of the things that you can talk to them about when they start to feel these things that might bring about anxiety, depression, and suicide?
Well, definitely one of the most important things is to speak up, right? Talk about it. Let someone know if you're struggling or if you are, going through a challenging time. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a parent, right? Because every child or young person, especially teenagers, they may not always, want to go to their parent. I encourage it, but go to someone that you trust, right? To talk about what's going on and to seek help. But also, I want to encourage people to get therapy as well. Like, it's okay to get therapy. Like I mentioned in the beginning, we don't want to wait until we're in crisis, right? We don't want to wait until we're really, really struggling to seek therapy. And I think that's another myth, is that we have to be, going through a really rough time or not doing our best to seek therapy. And that's not necessarily true. Therapy can be a preventative measure, honestly. So it's okay to get our children in therapy, to have someone to talk to as well.
Okay. All right. Since you brought up about getting therapy and getting help, and we keep it real, we said we want the smoke. So let's deal with this comment here, which is very true. Because some people will use this as a reason not to get it. Karen says some therapy can be too expensive. Any suggestions? People are counting their dollars, they counting their money, and they're trying to put their money to place where it's going to help them to survive. How do we get them to take some of that money and go put it to go what they perceive to go sit on a couch and let somebody ask them, make them answer their own questions, for a better way, lack of a better way of putting it.
Absolutely. Well, I got something for that too. So if you guys see in the resource sheet that I included, there's actually some organizations that offer free therapy sessions and resources to people in need. Some of them are specifically for women and Black women, but there's also free therapy sessions offered to, you know, anyone in the Black community through like the Boris L. Henson Foundation. You know, the actress Taraji P. Henson, she's very, you know, into mental health awareness. So her foundation offers a certain amount of free therapy sessions. Also the Loveland Foundation. So even for those of us who, you know, may not always, you know, be in a space to financially seek therapy, there are resources for that. Yeah. We don't have to, you know, we don't have to deny ourselves that help, you know, if finances is a challenge.
What about on jobs? I mean, you know, do people have, I know they always talk about the EAPs, the employee assistance
Yes.
programs, and you know, some jobs now are offering help amounts that you can put towards going to see care of therapists and counselors and coaches and things like that. Have you seen that?
Absolutely. That's a good one, Pastor Steve. So yes, for some people through certain insurance or healthcare plans, you're given a certain amount of funds to use towards your medical care, and that includes therapy sessions. So I have clients who use their FSA or HSA card to pay for sessions. Also, the EAP, like you mentioned, the Employee Assistance Program, they provide, if your job offers a EAP, they provide a certain amount of free sessions. So for some people, it could be 3 sessions. For some, it can be 6. So that's a good resource as well. But I also want to add that a lot of therapists out here too offer what's called a sliding scale. So for people, depending on your financial status or your income, you can get therapy at a really low rate as well. So that's something to look into also.
All right. Wow. That is such great information. Listen, and Courtney, I want you to go ahead and tell them how you are a resource too as well. Don't leave yourself out.
Oh, yes, I am a resource too. I included at the bottom of the resource sheet. It's also on our flyer here, my email address. So any of you viewers out there that's watching, or people that you know, if you guys have questions regarding mental health or questions about resources or support, feel free to reach out to me and use me as a resource. That's why I'm here. This is what I do. So you have somebody that you can go to.
As a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw Jay DeAndre's request. Let me put that back up because he seems very serious about this. He says, listen, Courtney, keep it going. I love this so much. If you ever have any workshops or events, count me in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, you know what, Jay DeAndre? Courtney and I are not just going to be done after tonight. So maybe we might have to kind of get together and talk about a collaboration where we can sponsor something with GWC Ministries, can sponsor something with the Center for Actualization, collaborate with her directly, and let's get this in the church where it needs to be.
Yes,
You know,
I am here for it.
All right, so if that's what you all want, we can do that. Now, here's what I want to get before we get ready to close out. If you have more questions or you want to hear more, I did float this to Courtney before the show that we may have to consider a part 2. Would you all be interested in continuing this? We may not be able to do it directly next month, but we can certainly make this our September. We can come back and make this our September one. Would you all feel a need to have her come back? She says she's happy to do it. So just kind of put that in and let me know. Give us a hootie hoo, give us a shout out, and we'll do that for you because we're about getting you the information and the help that you need. So I know we try to squeeze a quart into a pint, but you know, Courtney, people's attention span nowadays for anything church related is so short. You know, I always say in service, people can binge watch Netflix for hours, but they want the pastor to talk in 20 minutes and be done. So, but I would love, we can do that. We can set this up for you all and have another one, and we can really take an even deeper dive than we took tonight. So with that being said, Courtney, is there anything last words that you want to say to everybody?
I just really want to thank all the viewers today. Thank everybody for watching. It has been a pleasure interacting with you guys. You guys had some really good questions. You're very engaging. And my hope and my prayer is that each one of you can walk away from today's discussion with some knowledge, some insight that is going to help you increase your mental wellness bank account. Okay, remember, mental health is wealth, all right?
And look, I don't know what I have to do, but I'll figure it out. But I need to get me and First Lady one of those t-shirts. So Courtney, let us know what we got to do, what we need the Cash App us in. But we want one of those shirts.
It's
so
Amazon.
Amazon?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we will definitely look into that and help promote that. And you all, thank you all so much for joining on tonight. I just want to make sure I put down all of the wonderful things that they're saying about you, Courtney, so you can know that you were appreciated and that your time was not wasted. Definitely mental illness is real. Thank you and God bless. St. Louis in Missouri is saying thank you, Courtney. Great job from Yolanda Fernandez. You got Jalen saying thank you, Courtney.
Oh, wow.
First Lady saying indeed. Tina Brown said yes, come back. Charlotte Smith saying yes, come back. Oh my goodness, y'all! Look, yes, they want you back. Look,
you guys want me to come back? Okay.
Oh my goodness! Listen, we gonna have to give the people what they asking for.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So she and I will get together and we'll work that out for you, and we'll try to get her back here so we can continue the conversation, because of a truth, it is a serious conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
And it is not being dealt with on any scale that it should. I do realize, Courtney, and maybe have you seen that, you know, the government, the nation is maybe trying to take a look at it and treat it as something that is real now, that it's a healthcare issue and not just something that people are dealing with. So if we can continue to bring this type of awareness, I believe that can begin to affect legislation, benefits, you know, how money is allocated so that people who can afford to have this type of help. Because one of the things that they always do, if it's some serial killer, some active shooter, and you know we're in a country where there's over 200, we've already had over 600 mass shootings already in this country, and it's only the end of July. And they always try to trace it back to the person's mental well-being.
Yeah.
So I believe now it's starting to be something that, like, okay, well, we can no longer start ignoring this. So we can continue to bring in this type of awareness and bring it to the churches, bring it to the Black communities, so it's no longer a taboo topic anymore.
Yes.
You know, we like, look, can you can you do your shirt one more time?
Okay, y'all need to see the shirt. It's okay to have Jesus and a therapist too.
All right. I think we'll close out on that note. And if this broadcast has been a blessing to you all and you have found that it has helped you, we always, in order to keep it going and to keep having services like this, we ask if you all could be just a financial blessing, sow a seed. The information has been down there on the ticker, but I know sometimes people may not always pay attention to the ticker. So I'm going to put it up here, and we're going to raise our E-Night offering. And we're just asking everybody just to sow a $10 seed. Listen, if you went to a conference, if we had to go rent a place out for Courtney to be there and pack it out, we would be paying several $1,000s for the venue and all of that to bring this type of information to you. So none of this stuff is free. And we're only asking for a little $10. And some of you all, maybe the Lord will speak to you and you may give 20 or you might give 50. But if everybody can give at least $10 tonight, there's the ways you can sow it there. We can keep this type of programming and things going on in the church for you. Amen. So listen, our speaker, our presenter, she does not come here with a charge or a fee. She's doing this out of the kindness of her heart. Dr. Hickman did it. Dr. Deborah James did it. All of these professionals, they're coming because they love helping people.
Yes.
And we want to be able to continue to bring them from all around the country to give you the information that you need right from the comforts of your own home. So if everybody can just go ahead and sow that seed, $10 Cash App, $GWC Ministry 67, Zelle 708-925-7954. Use the Givelify app. Choose GW Ministries of Beechview, Illinois, or you can mail to our P.O. Box 291 Olympia Fields, Illinois 60461. That's 60461. And with that being said, we thank you all for tuning in. God bless you. Courtney, listen, you did the darn thing, girl.
Thank you, Pastor Steve and First Lady.
Amen. And listen, all of those Jacksons and all of them family members that were on tonight, I'm inviting y'all and everybody that's in the area to meet us Sunday morning at 13750 South Low Avenue in Riverdale, Illinois, Whistler's Crossing Clubhouse. And we are having in-person service. I got a chance to have Courtney and her husband and their family be there with us. A lot of you all said, I'll see you soon. I'm coming back. Listen, why don't you all come and be with us this Sunday? And listen, I'm sure we can get Courtney after service to answer a few more questions if you all show up. But I want all of y'all, Jalen, I'm talking to you. I want all of y'all to be the Christian too. Be there this Sunday and let's have a high time in the Lord. And we also have Sunday School 2.0 at 9 a.m. So you can join the online Sunday School where we are leveling up our Bible game in the Word every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. right on this same platform. God bless you, everybody, and we will see you on Sunday. Now, as we always say here at GWC Ministries, go forth and perform great works.